Okay.
Moving on to archaeological resources. Although there are numerous archaeological resources in the project area, this presentation will focus on Panhe, a significant and well-known group of resources. The native inhabitants of Orange County belong to the Ahashiman Nation. This map depicts their historical boundary. For more than 10,000 years, the Ahashiman people occupied an area that ranged from Long Beach down to Oceanside and from Lake Elsinore on the east to Santa Catalina and San Clemente Islands on the west. Panhe is the ethnographic village of the Ahashiman. It is located primarily in San Diego County on portions of San Onofre State Beach and Camp Pendleton Marine Corps Base. Panhe consists of 6 sites, is part of the San Mateo Archaeological District, and has been listed on the National Register of Historic Places since 1981. 2 of these sites are listed as sacred land sites with the Native American Heritage Commission. Panhe contains human burials, various cultural remains, and the memory of living Ahashiman people. Since the exact locations of Panhe and other archaeological resources are protected, this map identifies their general location in and around the coastal zone, which is the line shown here in blue. There is no dispute that the proposed toll road will have significant adverse impacts on multiple resources. TCA acknowledges that it will directly and adversely impact 34 resources during construction and indirectly impact an additional 12 resources that lie within the buffer of the disturbance limits. The Commission staff requested but did not receive an assessment of impacts for resources listed on the National Register. All 6 of Panhe's sites will be impacted. 3 lie within the disturbance limits and 3 lie within the buffer area. TCA believes it can mitigate impacts to below a level of significance for most of the 34 resources. However, impacts to some National Register resources cannot be mitigated below a level of significance because the resources are associated with an event, period, or person in history that cannot be sampled, collected, or recovered through archaeological excavation. There are at least 3 resources that will be impacted in this manner. All 3 are found in the coastal zone and are part of Panhe and the San Mateo Archaeological District. Avoidance mitigation measures would prevent these significant adverse impacts. Avoidance of these 3 sites would require moving the proposed toll road to a different location, a mitigation measure that was not proposed by TCA. The proposed mitigation for the Ahashiman ceremonial site is a sound wall. However, TCA's general layout plan shows the sound wall does not include the site. Commission staff inquired about this discrepancy but has received no reply. Section 30244 requires that reasonable mitigation. Sorry. No. Thanks. Section 30244 requires that reasonable mitigation be provided for adverse impacts to archaeological resources. The question before the Commission is the proposed mitigation reasonable? The Commission staff has used the California Environmental Quality Act standards as guidance for what constitutes reasonable mitigation. Avoidance, by allowing resources to be preserved in place or left in an undisturbed state, is the preferred method of mitigation. If avoidance measures are not included, the Commission staff considers the case for why avoidance is not possible. The mitigation proposed for the Ahashiman and for Panhe is not reasonable. Avoidance measures were not included, nor was an adequate case made for why avoidance is not possible. Furthermore, these impacts will go unmitigated. Section 30244 identifies the State Historic Preservation Officer, or SHPO, as an archaeological advisor for the Commission. Both the SHPO and the Federal Advisory Council on Historic Preservation requested that additional evaluations, called Traditional Cultural Property Evaluations, be performed by TCA. A traditional cultural property evaluation assesses the role a property plays in a community's historically rooted beliefs, customs, and practices. These evaluations will provide a more complete picture of impacts than currently exists because it will go beyond just physical impacts of the resource. The SHPO and the Advisory Council requested traditional cultural property evaluations for both Panhe and Trestles. Although Trestles is a surf break, both agencies have found that it warrants review. Commission staff therefore also inquired if TCA would perform these evaluations, and it responded it would not. Consistent with the SHPO's opinion, the Commission staff believes that TCA has not provided sufficient information to enable identification of the full range of impacts. Absent this level of analysis, the Commission staff is not convinced all mitigation options, specifically avoidance, have been explored. Therefore, the Commission staff believes the proposed mitigation measures to be premature and not reasonable. In summary, the absence of traditional cultural property evaluations for Panhe and Trestles and the unmitigated impacts to the Ahashiman people and half of the resources of Panhe do not enable the Commission staff to find that reasonable mitigation has been provided. Commission staff therefore concludes that it lacks sufficient information and that the proposed toll road in this location is inconsistent with Section 30244.